On today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, let's take a quick look at the state of the 8-5 Texans and plus an early look at the Cardinals.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, from H-Town to your town. Today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texans podcast is for Texan fans all around. Super excited for today's show. I'm going to dive into the YouTube comments. What have y'all been talking about? I've seen all of the pushback. Is C.J. Stroud a game manager or not? If the ultimate goal is a Super Bowl, it don't matter how your quarterback is playing. As long as he can get you a win, the lead that your defense can sustain, and they've done it for 15 weeks now. Just an early look at the Cardinals. The crossover episode will be Thursday. That's always fun. You'll get a chance to get a deeper look, into the opposing team. What are they doing good? Obviously not enough. They're 3-10. But Houston should not overlook that team, because Houston has been a team that teams have maybe overlooked, and they've been able to string off 5 games in a row. So that's important. And just a look at the state of the Texans right now. Houston has signed a couple of guys, and also I think it's important to talk about 2 coaches that have factored into the success for the Houston Texans. Honestly, maybe a couple of more coaches, because this is a well-coached team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. To my everydayers from the Himalayas, thank you for making the Locked On Texan podcast your first listen of the day, and for continuing to make the Locked On Texans and the Locked On Podcast Network your number one choice. Now the Locked On Podcast Network is the number one sports podcast network in the nation. I'm your Texans credential media member and football analyst, John Hickman, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. And it's a fun time right now in the NFL, where it feels like anybody can fall, anybody can get it, and that plays into the favor of the Houston Texans. Now, just a current look at the state of the Texans. They did sign defensive tackle Naquan Jones and Cody Schrader to the practice squad Tuesday. I think that, we got to keep in mind, no Foley Fatukasi right now. Tim Settle's out for the year. We hadn't got word on Foley in a while, honestly. And also no word on Nick Chubb. Now, in fairness, the Houston Texans return back to practice Wednesday, so we'll see if we get any word on Nick Chubb, but he did go down with an injury, and I think 5 games in a row now, maybe 6. Woody Marks has left the game due to an injury. Dare scored on Sunday night. I thought he did a very good job in his limited role. However, for a team that doesn't have a true number one back, it's smart for Houston to go out there and invest in their running back room. Late in the game, it's not like Houston was going to find a star player, right? A superstar. That's not going to happen late in the game. This is week 15. However, maybe Cody Schrader was a player that the Houston Texans kept their eye on throughout the draft process. Maybe he's a player that they like. Obviously, he's a tough runner. If you look at some of the things that he did over for the Chargers, tough runner, smaller statue, out of Mizzou, he'll create that contact. And so kind of fits what the Houston Texans want their MO to be in terms of being able to run the ball. So I'm curious to see if we'll see Cody Schrader in a regular season game. But that's something that the Houston Texans went ahead and did on Tuesday this week, going into this week football. Also, talk about the success of this team. We talk about the coaching of this team a lot, and obviously I'm going to get to DeMeco Ryans, right? I have to, because there's something that I want to talk about in regards to how he's been able to coach players up. But Cole Popovich, the numbers say it all. The numbers speak for themselves, Texas fans. Through week 15 of 2025, which is where we are currently under Cole Popovich, 30 sacks have been allowed. 22 for Stroud, who is currently tied for 17th in the NFL, right? 8 for Davis Mills, but only 30 sacks. Okay, wow. That's a lot still. Maybe, depending on how you look at it. However, through week 15 of 2024, Stroud was sacked 47 times. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cole Popovich has done an amazing job revitalizing, revamping um, this offensive line. And I think when we talk about, because I've done it before, Nick Caley finding his way and improving, Cole Popovich also had to find his way in improving areas simply based on figuring out who was going to be my best five. The combination Houston has out there right now has proven to be Houston's best five. Like they still have their issues with run blocking, and I understand it. But when you have a running back like Woody Marks, and this is why a lot of us want to see Marks more involved in the passing game, when you have a running back like Marks, you kind of gotta utilize him in so many different ways that doesn't limit him to running. Because if you limit Marks to running, then you're limiting your offense essentially. And one thing that I like, albeit it was one target, the target that he received Sunday night versus the Kansas City Chiefs, well, that resulted into a touchdown. These are some of the things that the Houston Texans offense need to kind of exploit a little bit more. But I have appreciated Cole Popovich a lot this year because your quarterback ain't getting hit a lot, guys. Not as much as he did in 2024. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing, considering moving forward, whenever they draft a younger offensive lineman or they invest in the offensive lineman in free agency, you may have faith in Cole Popovich to be able to turn the offensive line around altogether. And I can't help but wonder, what if Cole Popovich would have gotten his hands on Kenyon Green right out the gate? I know Green is gone. Some of y'all may not even want to hear Kenyon Green's name. I get it. However, the guy had talent enough to be a top 20 pick in the NFL. I think the coaching staff, along with some of the things that Green may have done personally, failed him. But if Cole Popovich would have got his hands on him early, this could be a different conversation. Kenyon Green's career could be a totally different conversation. Also, just looking at the scoring updates by quarter, shout out to my man Jason Braddock. The offense, first quarter, 38 points, continues to be just abysmal for Houston. Second quarter, 98 points. Third quarter, 42 points. They continue to fill themselves in the first and the third. Fourth quarter, and this is kind of funny because this is where the game is on the line for Houston a lot of times, 105 points. The game has been won for Houston or lost. But in the last 5 weeks, the games have been won in the fourth quarter. The defense has given them the ball an ample amount of times, 3 and outs, forcing 3 and outs, forcing turnovers on downs. And this is where the Houston Texans, time and time again, have shown their ability, and it hasn't been explosive, it hasn't been pretty, but their ability to score points in the fourth quarter, that's been their most reliable quarter this year in terms of being able to put up points. And then we look at the defense and reactive to that, right? First quarter, 50 points. Second quarter, 54 points. Third quarter, 67 points. The game is on the line, guys. We need help. We're going into the fourth quarter. We're putting our foes up. 37 points. The defense continues to be outstanding. I also want to touch on DeMeco Ryans. So when I come back, I'll look at some of the things that have we overlooked with DeMeco in terms of how he's been able to get the most out of players. I don't think we have, but it's important to talk about it. And also an early look at the Arizona Cardinals. You know, there's no reason to let big wireless drain your wallet, especially during the holidays. Right now, Mint Mobile is running their best deal of the year. All of their unlimited plans are 50% off. That means you can lock in 3, 6, or even 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. $15 a month? It's the easiest way to take your overpriced phone bill and give it the full Scrooge treatment. And what makes this even better is how Mint makes the switch. No contracts, no nonsense, just real savings and real quality service. Switching to Mint lets you keep your same coverage at a lower price. Setup takes only a few minutes. You can bring in your phone, keep your phone number without any issues. The service is fast and super reliable, even on the go. Who beats that? Tell me somebody who beats that. Who's beating Mint Mobile right now? Who is beating Mint Mobile right now? Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint's unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/lockedon NFL. That's mintmobile.com/lockedon NFL. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 per month equivalent, taxes and fees. Initial plan term only. 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable devices required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com for more details. Welcome back, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers, Texas fans out there. I want to take just a little deeper look into how DeMeco Ryans has turned this team around since 2023. Obviously, it's been with players like Derek Stingley and trading up for Will Anderson and getting this guy Aziz and drafting Kamari and finding Caleb Bullock. Obviously, it's been able to sign free agency, big free agent acquisition, Danielle Hunter. Obviously, it's been that. However, for my true everydayers from the Himalayas, and I'm going back to Cody Davis days, what have we called DeMeco Ryans? A true DC. But DC in that case didn't stand for defensive coordinator. It stood for development coach. The amount of 4th through 7th rounders that's made an impact for DeMeco's defense, drafted by DeMeco or not, I think has been outstanding. Let's look at the players that he's drafted. Henry T. You guys can feel however you feel about Henry T. And he's, as the president of the Henry T fan club, I've had to admit this year, he's had some bad moments. I think notably the missed sack on 4th and 10 against Tampa. This is a totally different team if they get that win, right? But Henry T has been an impactful player for this Texas defense. No doubt about it. Dylan Horton, Jalen Reed. Those are the players that he's drafted, and they've had impact on this defense, whether it be minimal, monumental, or not. An impact has been made. I think it's more important to talk about the players that he hadn't drafted and some of those guys that's come to Houston that's got a defined role, and they've been able to post career highs. Khalil Davis. You guys know how much we love Khalil Davis on this show. Blake Cashman, career highs. Tim Settle, career highs. Eric Murray, career highs, all under DeMeco Ryans. I just wanted to point that out and highlight that because before DeMeco, did Houston have a true culture? After the Bill O'Brien breakup, where it felt like Houston was just going to bars and trying anything. Houston was going to the spot and leaving with anything. That's what it was. Wasn't no culture, wasn't no discipline here. They was just trying to figure things out, and in the midst of it, let's go home tonight. I just need to get my mind off of it. I don't got no coach. I got no real coach. They went to David Culley. They went through the legendary Lovie Smith, but they landed on DeMeco Ryans. And since landing on DeMeco Ryans, the culture here in Houston has become infectious. It has become something that is now getting a lot of national love, and it started last year. Well, honestly, nationally, it started when DeMeco got here. But seeing how he has put the defense together, but seeing how DeMeco has put this defense together, it's extremely important to talk about how he has taken some of the guys that may have been fourth and seventh rounders from other teams or his own current guys and lock them in on a defense that is now swarming through the league, the number one defense in the NFL. And I just want to point that out. This team, and they got it figured out on the offensive side of the ball. At some point, the offense has to match the intensity and the development of the defense. But this team has a true DC, and that is the development coach. And I think he's in the running for Coach of the Year. He should be. Moving on to take an early look at the Cardinals. They are seventh in the league in passing yards per game. This has led to the Cards being the sixth most sacked team in the league with 316 sack yards lost, which is third in the league. Obviously, if we're looking for matchups the Houston Texans can exploit, there goes one that will favor Houston in a big way. On the flip side, Arizona is among the bottom of the league in rushing attempts, under 100 rushing yards per game, but they do run the ball at a solid 4.3 yards per average per carry. So I think that's encouraging for them. However, we've seen the Houston Texans completely disrupt rushing teams this year. Not a lot of teams have been able to run on Houston from the running back perspective. If you add in maybe what the quarterback has done on scramble yards, which is where I'm sure throughout this week, last week, throughout the season, they've talked about maybe cleaning up. Patrick Mahomes had a good scramble yard performance Sunday. But against running backs, not a lot of running backs have dominated against Houston. That hasn't been the case. James Cook has been the one, but other than that, there hasn't been many games where you come away and say, wow, running back took over the game for the opposing team. So we'll see how that bodes for the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are a broken team right now, though, guys. And again, it's going to be a fun crossover with my man Alex Clancy, Locked on Cards. So make sure you check that out so we can learn a little bit more about the Cardinals. But just doing research on them, their own coach, they just got blew out by the Rams. Their own coach said that game was an utter failure. That said, this could be an inspired team that Houston cannot take lightly. I think when you're in the driver's seat of your own destiny, and when you're in the position the Houston Texans are in, hey, you can't take no team lightly. You were a team that teams took lightly. You just so happen to win 5 of them in a row, right? Against Buffalo, against Indy, against Kansas City, knocking off some demons. You were able to get it done, but that doesn't mean that the promised land is right in front of you. Houston still has 4 games to go to get into the playoffs to secure their spot. One loss, and how the AFC has been going down, Houston ain't getting no favors from any other team. One loss could drop them off the playoffs. And nobody wants to see this historic defense not reach the playoffs. This is why I'm so critical on the offense. This is why I want the offense to do their job. Eventually, it comes down to balance. And there will never be a true balance for this team. The defense is so far ahead, but the offense do need to raise their level of play. Now, we know Houston likes to run the ball on early downs in Arizona, who's allowing 27 points per game, and 123 on the ground, and 4.5 yards per carry. They allow the teams to get busy on first down on the grounds a lot. 4.8 yards per carry on first downs, including 32 first downs on first down runs. I wouldn't be shocked if Houston looked to take advantage of that weakness and get themselves going. The Texans have rushed for 3.5 yards per carry on first. Not sexy at all. If the Cardinals' run defense continues to be an issue, then guess what? There could be a big game for Marks or whoever's back there running back. I wouldn't be shocked if Houston looked to take advantage of that weakness to get themselves going. The Texans have rushed for 3.5 yards per carry on first down. That is not sexy at all. If the Cardinals' run defense continues to be an issue, then guess what, guys? This could be a good bounce back game for Woody Marks or whoever is back there running the ball all together. Do some of y'all wish y'all had Dameon Pierce still? I don't know. Just want to throw that out there. But Marks was good on first down against KC early in the game until the third quarter, where where Chris Jones completely wrecked the game. Houston does not have to worry about a Chris Jones in this game. And remember, I told you guys, in that first half, 5 carries, 25 yards, 5 yards per carry on first down. This could also be good and big for the Texans' play action game, which was their best aspect of the game Sunday night. So I would expect, and it's been this case all year, when the Texans don't face an elite D tackle, and when the Texans face a defense that will allow some big runs here and there, or just average yards per pop, the offense looks completely different. The offense looks completely different. I'm not going to say the offense is going to score 30. I'm not saying that. But I am going to go ahead and throw this out there. My expectation is for the offense for 4 quarters, and it may be in spurts in 4 quarters, but for the game to be just consistently better than what they were versus Kansas City. I think that's fair to say. This is a bad defense, and a lot of y'all wanted Jonathan Gannon. The defense, he's a defensive coach. That defense in Arizona ain't popping for real. So we'll see. And also on the defensive side of the ball, and I mentioned, hey, listen, teams have been able to get after the Cardinals quarterbacks this year. Jacoby Brissett, 7th in the league in sacks. He's only started 8 games. Quiet sack day from Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. They could get busy again, or we could have another Tommy T performance. But when we come back, I'm going to dive into the YouTube comments. What have y'all been talking about? I think it's important to hear from the fans. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, you're there for it. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. I think Texan fans know all about that. Nico Collins, defense getting the sack, or Kalen Bullock with an interception. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so you can as well. Texan fans, welcome back to the Locked On Texan podcast. Before we close out today's show, I think the Locked On Texan podcast has been really good as of late. I think the conversations have been centered around football, and I think you guys are responding well to it. I talked about the Texans exercising the Chiefs' demons, the defensive tackle domination masterclass, and on that podcast, I mentioned, CJ Stroud, the game manager. My man Tremaine 108 responded and said, I believe the CJ's criticism, John, is unnecessary and not warranted. CJ bailed Kaylee's poor playing self out of the fire when it was critical and needed. CJ is playing well for what is around him, to include a rookie OC. I didn't say he wasn't playing bad, guys. And I think some of these comments kind of, if people look at what I'm saying and remove game manager makes a quarterback seems less than. I think we've seen plenty of successful game managers, and I mentioned them before. Russell Wilson was a game manager when Legion of Boom won. Tom Brady was a game manager at the beginning of his career. Brad Johnson won with Tampa as a game manager. Alex Smith was one of the more elite game managers in the NFL for a period of time. It just wasn't able to get over the hump. But game managers can win you a Super Bowl. Game managers can also transform into elite quarterbacks. We've seen that in the NFL before, guys. My man South Park Rays made a good point. I agree with this. Game management play calling turns your quarterback into a game manager. And that was followed up by, and this is where I wanted to really, this is why I came to this conclusion, because that was followed up by Terrence Johnson, 805. So the coordinator missing throws and touchdowns. I think Texan fans right now, some see what I'm saying and some don't see what I'm saying. And for those that see what I'm saying, I don't think that they're looking at it as a bad thing. This defense has proven time and time again, especially as of late, just get us the lead and we'll figure it out. Aziz talked about that. Like Aziz, this is a few weeks ago now. I think after the Jacksonville game, but Aziz talked about DeMeco saying and calling them out and challenging them. Y'all they call y'all this number one defense, but on two occasions, and it led to a loss for Houston. Y'all been out there on the field on the last drive, and teams have been able to score points. So since that game, you can give the Texans defense a 3-point lead and then figure it out. That's how you can win the Super Bowl this year. And if the offense raises its level of play from all aspects, I think receivers got to do a better job of getting open. I think maybe the route concepts versus certain coverages and looks need to be better. So, I mean, that goes back to a Nick Caley, Ben McDaniels thing. I think the OC has to be better. All of these things are true. Absolutely. But for a quarterback that has been revered as a ball placement specialist, that Hutchinson third down miss, the Kirk miss, those are swinging points in a tight game, in a close game that you must lose. Think about it like this, guys. If Houston don't win that game Sunday, they're still not in the playoffs. No team in the AFC is doing Houston a favor in those costly moments if the Chiefs receivers don't drop those passes on fourth down and the Texans don't get the turnover on downs. One of those turnover on downs led to 7 points to give themselves the lead in the fourth quarter. The game was tied at that point going into the fourth quarter. I know if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk, but those things matter. So the offense, and I think going up against the Arizona Cardinals, needs to be better. They need to play better. This could be a game where you can look at it twofold. It could be a trap game. Houston can't afford that. Houston knows they can't afford that. And I think the mental preparation that Houston has been playing with the last several weeks, nobody is a trap game because everybody is food. They're not playing right now. This could also be a game where the Houston Texans offense can finally raise to the occasion, similar to what they did against Kansas City and similar to what I thought that C.J. Stroud was going to do against the Denver Broncos. I do see a lot of DeMeco Ryans for Coach of the Year. I got DeMeco, I got Mike Vrabel, I got Mike McDonald. Fourth on that list, and I think it's like this. My boy mentioned this as well. Sean McVay may be on that list as well, but my top three options right now, tied with DeMeco and Mike Vrabel at number one. He's done a great job. His coaching staff is amazing. We don't talk about one coach a lot, and I always my everydayers from the Himalayas know this. Cody and myself, we have always sung praises for Dino Vasso, but Coach Rod Wright has done an amazing job. The defensive side of the ball has been great. I think all things considered, the running back group has been fairly decent for Houston. Cole Popovich has been great. If there's an area of concern and maybe something the Houston Texans may need to look into next year, maybe getting a different wide receiver coach, passing game coordinator. But overall, DeMeco, Cole, Dino Vasso, Steven Adakoge, the safety coach, they've been amazing this year. So, yeah, DeMeco's in that Coach of the Year talk. He absolutely should be. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texan podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Until next time, ladies and gents, Texas fans across the nation, crossover Thursday. That's going to be fun. What the hell has been going on with the Cardinals? We'll find out more. Peace.